Hi, it's Sherri. I'm back with my From the Heart series where I'm sharing the vulnerable parts of myself, showing where I'm weak so that you can be made strong. I've been sharing on this a lot lately, and that must mean I'm overcoming. Some people say that you have to wait until you've overcome something completely before you share it, but maybe if I share in the middle of my journey, we can take the journey together. One of the greatest battles of my life has been with the spirit of fear. I have battled with fear all my life. I have had deliverance. I've had prophetic deliverance. I've had therapy. I've had sozo. I've had so many inner healing modalities to overcome fear. And yet, somehow it's always kind of there, creeping in the background. I would say that it's my thorn in the flesh, but God does not give fear. I mean, he specifically says, I've not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So I can't say it's from him. And it's just one of those things that keeps me humble. It's one of those things that forces me to grow. I remember when I was in medical school, they were teaching on different psychiatric diseases, and they got to generalized anxiety disorder. And I looked around and I was like, oh my God, that's me. Because it feels like I've battled with anxiety, just always being about things. And I have found out in sozo that it is generational, that it is passed down. And I've also found that it's work. It's an intentional work to change the way I think and not to agree with the enemy, but rather to agree with God and partner with God when fear tries to keep in. It's an intentional battle to not partner with the enemy and partner with God when fear tries to creep in. And it's work. It's something that I have to stay on top of all the time. So there are times that I experience great victory. And this is really funny because people think, oh my gosh, you quit your job as a doctor, you put your stuff on a ship, you move to Africa, you live on another continent, in another culture. Sometimes you're by yourself, traveling all over the continent of Africa. How can you say that you're afraid? Well, I have learned to, as Joyce Meyer teaches, I've learned to do it afraid. I've learned to feel the fear and do it anyway, because one thing I refuse to do is let fear keep me from life. I refuse to let fear keep me from the next God adventure, keep me from the next relationship, keep me from the next country, keep me from trusting God for a miracle. I refuse to let fear do that. So I've learned to feel the fear and do it anyway, but I've gotten to the point where I don't want to feel the fear anymore, where I just want to conquer it completely. So I'm always in the Word, I'm always in God's presence, I sit in His lap. It is a common thing for God to just rub me on the back and say, it's okay, baby girl. I got you. You're okay. I got you. I got you. Because it just still creeps up at times. But I'm learning and I'm growing. There are times that I get it really, really under control. And then I feel better. I'm at peace more. I'm not anxious and crazy all the time. But then sometimes some things happen and it causes the fear to rise up again. And I wanted to share a specific experience with fear and hope that you can grow from it. So we've had a lot of deaths and losses in ministry, and sometimes they hit really hard. Sometimes, when you are the director of a school of supernatural ministry and you are going to funerals, it does something. At times it takes my faith out at the knees. And, I'm happy to say I don't question, is this supernatural healing thing real? I believe it's real. It's the Bible. It's Scripture. I have seen miracles. I've seen people healed from HIV. I saw my father near death, and now he is so alive. I've seen miracle after miracle after miracle of healing. One of my spiritual sons has had 2 resurrections from the dead. So I'm not going to get to the point where I say healing isn't real. So sometimes what I struggle with is maybe I can't heal. But even with that, there have just been some really bad losses. There have been some bad losses of people really close to me. And after loss after loss after loss, I just began to feel like anything could happen to anybody. And I partnered with the enemy. That's my biggest flaw, is partnering with him when he starts whispering lies. And so he started to whisper to me, anything can happen to anybody at any time. I can steal any one of your kids. And then I'm a writer with a huge imagination, and I'm always writing a story in my head. So I would just imagine getting a phone call. This one died, that one died, me going to the morgue, going to the mortuary, how it happened, the story. And literally, I would be sitting thinking these stories in my head and would start crying because it was that real on the inside of me. And I kept allowing it to happen. I kept partnering I would say during that season, every day somebody died in my head, in the stories in my head. Every single day somebody died. On a really bad day, several people died. And I'd find myself wiping tears, imagining the death of any of my kids, of any of my family members, and those closest to me. You know you're close to me when I've imagined your death. I mean, that's how bad the season got. That's how terrible it got. So one day I'm sleeping in my room in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm drifting into sleep. And all of a sudden, I feel something choking my neck. I literally feel something grabbing my neck. So doctor brain kicks in, and I'm like, oh, this is sleep paralysis. This is that state as you're falling asleep or as you're waking up where you're completely paralyzed. It lasts 10 seconds and it goes away. So in my mind, I'm reasoning, this is just sleep paralysis. I'll wake up in a second and it'll go away. And then I open my eyes wide. So I was no longer asleep. And there's this hand choking my throat. And there's a knee in my chest. And there is this demonic figure that is literally trying to crush the life out of me. Now, I don't know what you believe about demons. I don't know what you think about demons, but they're real. They're very real. If you've ever been to Africa, if you've ever seen somebody demon possessed, if you've ever done deliverance and got someone delivered of a demon, you know that it's very, very real. And so here I was face to face with a demon, hand around my neck, knee in my chest. And I'm just like, strangely enough, in that moment, my reaction wasn't fear. It was, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? I am a daughter of the Most High God. I'm Sherri. I am Mama Africa. I'm called of God. I'm here on a mission. Who do you think you are? Get out of my room. And the minute I said, get out of my room, the hand loosed from my neck and the thing just left immediately. And I sat up on the side of the bed and I was like, what was that? And I sat there for a few minutes and I caught my breath because the thing was choking the life out of me. And I sat there for a few minutes and I was just catching my breath. And I was like, God, why was that allowed to happen? Why was that thing allowed to enter my room? And he said, clear as day, you gave it permission. You have opened the door to the demonic in your life through fear. And that open door through fear is an open invitation for demonic attacks. You need to make a decision about what you're going to do about this fear. So I sat on the side of the bed for a few minutes, just praying and rocking and taking authority. And I felt, because I was sleepy. I like to sleep. As I was falling back asleep, I felt the enemy saying, I'm coming right back for you. And in that moment, I had a choice to make. Am I going to partner with this demonic spirit of fear? Or am I going to stand as the queen, as the warrior that I know myself to be, as the spiritual warrior with authority, with all the authority of heaven behind me? Am I going to stand on that authority, or am I going to cower in fear? And I said, devil, get out of my room. And I pulled the covers over my head and turned over and went right back to sleep. And from that moment, I knew that I couldn't entertain those daydreams anymore. I couldn't entertain fear anymore. And I had to start working on not fearing anymore. And so, as I said, it's an ongoing battle. We conquered that part of it. There have been battles since. And I just believe, I wish I could say on this video, I've completely conquered fear. But I just believe that as time continues to pass, that I will not have to feel the fear and do it anyway. But I will have complete and total victory over fear. So I just wanted to share that battle. It's real. I am Mama Africa. I am a Diva Missionary. I do live a very adventurous, courageous life. And I am learning every single day to overcome the spirit of fear and live a victorious Christian life. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. And it is my everyday endeavor to walk in that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you will subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Sherri Lewis, and you can get any of my books at my author page on Amazon.com, Sherri Lewis. They're available on Amazon, on Nook, Barnes & Noble, all the different places. And the link for my books is in the description.